At first, it looked like just another quiet night over the Black Sea. But little did the Russians know, a silent hunter was already watching. At 18,000 feet, gliding smoothly through the air, a Turkish-made Bayraktar TB2 drone locked onto its target, a Russian Cerna-class landing craft carrying 30 troops, which was moving rapidly toward the western shores of Kherson. For 27 minutes, the drone had been tracking them. They had no idea. And in less than 90 seconds, everything was about to explode, literally and politically. It all began at 2 a.m. that morning when the TB2 drone launched from a hidden position near Mykolaiv. The Black Sea was pitch dark. Russian radar crews were barely awake. Everything was calm, but underneath that calm was danger waiting to unfold. Now, this wasn't your typical backyard drone. This thing was a flying war machine built to patrol for 27 hours straight. Its engine, a Rotax 912, the same kind used in small civilian planes, hummed quietly as it cruised along at a steady 70 knots. Slow? Yes, but that wasn't the point. It wasn't chasing anything, it was hunting. And the drone operators? They weren't in a fancy base. They were sitting in a small control station that looked more like a gamer's den than a military hub. Joysticks, screens, a couple of energy drinks, and nerves of steel. As the drone crept closer to the target area, it carefully dodged Russian radar. These guys knew their job. Flying too close to S-300 missile sites? Yeah, that's how you turn a $5 million drone into flaming ocean trash. By 3:30 a.m., the TB2 was right where it needed to be, hovering in a zone about 40 kilometers long and 20 kilometers wide. Its eyes, a powerful Canadian-made MX-15D sensor, could spot a license plate from 20 kilometers away. In thermal mode, the sea below glowed like a black canvas, with every warm object lit up like a flashlight. At first, there was nothing but empty water. Just another night of 99% boredom. But then came the 1%. At 3:47, a glowing shape appeared on the screen. Something was moving west, fast. The operator zoomed in. It was a Cerna-class Russian landing craft, low, fast, and deadly. These boats were designed to carry tanks or up to 92 armed troops straight to a beach. But this one? It was carrying 30 soldiers, tightly packed and moving at 30 knots. But wait, there wasn't just one. 2 more boats followed behind, spaced about 5 kilometers apart. This wasn't a patrol, it was a convoy. The operator's pulse picked up. He switched between visual and thermal feeds, zoomed in tighter, and recorded every second. On the deck, soldiers moved around, clearly infantry, not sailors. They were armed, geared up, and ready for action. At that moment, everything clicked. This wasn't just any beach run. The boats were heading for a known hotspot, the same area Ukrainian troops had flagged days earlier. Time to make the call. The operator picked up the secure phone. The voice on the other end gave just 3 words. Cleared to engage. That was it. No dramatic countdown, no debates. The order to kill had been given. But here's the thing. Launching a missile from a drone like the TB2 isn't as simple as pressing a button. First, you gotta make it count. Each MAM-L missile costs around $70,000, and the TB2 only carries 4. And once you fire, boom, the enemy knows you're watching. So this wasn't just about blowing up a boat, it was a calculated chess move. The drone shifted from its patrol pattern and looped around, lining up directly behind the Russian convoy. The operator selected the lead boat. Always hit the front. It creates confusion, breaks formation, and messes with coordination. The Cerna kept moving, unaware that death was flying right behind it. The operator zoomed in. He could see the crew now, some grouped near the back, others walking around with rifles slung, wearing helmets and tactical vests. They looked relaxed. Big mistake. He armed the missile. The TB2's designator laser locked onto the boat's bridge, which is the control center. Hit that, and the boat loses its brain. Just then, something strange happened. The Russian crew started rushing to the front of the ship, setting up a heavy machine gun. Were they preparing for an attack? Did they somehow know? The operator didn't care. He checked his systems one more time. Everything was green, the weather was calm, no radar threats. Just one problem: laser malfunction. A red warning is flashing on the screen. Heart rate spiked. He quickly rebooted the system. Off, on. Old trick, and this time it worked. Laser back online. But now, something felt off. The boat looked too full. Way more equipment than usual. Crates were strapped to the side. Troops seemed overpacked for just 30 men. What were they hiding? At 8-kilometer distance, the perfect range, the missile dropped. A 22-kilogram smart bomb with a 10-kilogram warhead soared downward. It was locked on by laser, and nothing could stop it now. Inside that missile, a tiny computer was calculating every inch of its path. 18,000 feet up, 7.8 kilometers downrange, 43 seconds to impact. The operator watched in silence. Through the thermal camera, he could still see Russian troops walking around on deck, unaware of what was coming. One soldier even pointed upward. Maybe he saw something. Maybe he yelled. But it was far too late. Physics don't listen to shouting. The operator noticed something new. Troops weren't running for cover. Instead, they were throwing equipment overboard. Why? What was in those crates? 15 seconds left. A few troops scrambled. Some tried to man their weapons. Others just froze. 5 seconds. The camera zoomed in again, catching it all in crisp 4K. Ukrainian intelligence officers watching the live feed leaned closer. Those troops? Their uniforms were different. The gear wasn't standard issue. And the crates? The markings were not normal. This was no ordinary infantry unit. Then, impact. A fireball ripped through the Cerna's middle. The explosion wasn't just from the missile. A second, larger blast followed, white hot and fierce. Not fuel, not ammo, thermite. The boat wasn't carrying soldiers. It was carrying saboteurs with demolition gear meant to destroy Ukrainian infrastructure. And now it was all going up in flames. The operator zoomed in again. Floating among the wreckage were waterproof crates bobbing on the waves. Marked with Cyrillic letters, definitely Russian and definitely sensitive. Suddenly, the two trailing boats turned hard, one north, one south. No rescue attempt, no distress calls, just full-speed retreat. That told its own story. The mission was compromised. And their priority? Protect the mission, not the men. Within hours, Russian emergency communications exploded with activity. Back in Moscow, officials realized the full weight of what had just happened. Not only had they lost 30 highly trained operatives, but their most secret sabotage mission had been caught live on drone footage, and it was probably already being analyzed in Kiev. The fallout was immediate. Russian special troops in that region went silent. Ships returned to port. Plans were cancelled. The Black Sea, once a stage for quiet invasions and covert landings, suddenly went dark. And it all ended not with a major battle, but with a silent drone and one perfectly placed missile. Now imagine how many more missions have been stopped this way, missions we never even hear about. That's the reality of modern war. Drones don't sleep, satellites don't blink, and sometimes one operator with a joystick and a screen changes the entire direction of a conflict. If you found this story fascinating, now's the time to hit like, subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you like more real-time drone warfare stories like this? Or maybe deep dives into the tech and strategy behind modern military decisions? Let us know. We read everything. Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, and until next time, never underestimate the power of eyes in the sky.